Yo, welcome back. Andros the Boss here. Justice for Emerald, video number 2, trying to just, once again, get the information out, obviously, about what's the case itself, but more so really focusing on Emerald as a person, who she was, who she is, and doing that in a video series of speaking with people that know her the best and most intimately. Today, we have her sister, Danica Woolard, is here. With our live studio audience. But we, I guess, we'll just kind of start it off and I guess introduce yourself and kind of basically like did you meet Emerald first? I know that this is not a biological relationship, but obviously family is something that isn't always biological. It's the love that you can create with somebody. So tell me about your kind of just how you and Emerald started becoming friends and then how that evolved.
I got a job at Sports Column downtown, right by Coors Field, when that was still there, and she was training me my first day there.
Oh,
And
scary.
she was hungover and in a bad mood, and I was like, I don't like this girl. Like, her and I are not gonna get along. And she was barking orders at me, and I finally just looked at her and was like, girl, I've been a server for a lot of years. You don't need to talk to me like that. And then she was like, I like you. And I was like, all right, I like you. And then it just evolved from there. And she asked me to babysit Michael. He was a year old and she had to go to a job interview. So she asked me to babysit him and he was asleep and I had never met him. So I was just hanging out and then he woke up and he's like, who you?
Mm.
And I was like, hi, I'm Danny. And then him and I hit it off right away. And then she just couldn't get rid of me after that. He was like my little best friend. And I think her and I, even not biological, she was like my sister from the very beginning. Our souls just kind of meshed, and that's how that went. And shortly thereafter, she didn't have a place to stay, and I was sneaking her in my parents' basement when they were asleep. And my dad finally was like, is she just living here? And I was like, kinda.
Mm.
So then he told her to move her stuff in, and the rest is history.
That's all. I mean, to have someone so open to be able to introduce them like that. And was that Casey and Marilyn's first time meeting Emerald then, or
They had met her, I think they'd met her a few times before, but I was just,
okay? So a stranger wasn't getting snuck into their
yeah,
house. And
yeah, I was just
okay.
sneaking her in for the sleepovers basically. And she would stay over here a lot. We would work, the weekends at Sports Column during football season. We would go to work and get off at 3 a.m. on a Friday night, and we would go shopping at Walmart to stay awake, and then we started painting together. And that's what started that, because we'd have to be back at work at 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, I've heard those stories
So
about
we
the
just
college football season
college
of
football, and
7 in the morning until 3 in the morning.
and
Type.
then we'd go back at 8 a.m. for NFL on
Oh
Sundays,
gosh.
and we didn't sleep. We would take like pre-workout and just stay
No,
awake all
but not
weekend.
work out.
Yeah, stay awake all weekend. And so they knew her from those, like when she was just, we were here wreaking havoc in the basement painting until 6 a.m. when we'd shower and go back to work in the morning. And
That's,
during the week, I was sneaking her and Michael in. Was kind of how that went. So,
and during that time, what would you, as far as like personality and stuff, what's something that kind of drew you guys together? Because friends, family, there's obviously something that brings you together that you kind of share personality wise that I've found. But obviously, there's also things that you butt heads against. That it's something. It's not always bad, but it's something that you want in yourself per se, or something like that.
her and I had a lot in common. Like, I don't know, our senses of humor meshed, everything like that. All of our interests were the same. She was way more outgoing than me. And I mean, you know that, obviously. She was way more outgoing than me. And I think that's kind of what we butt heads on the most, was like we'd go out with friends and stuff, and I was always more reserved, and she was not. And she would like make me do things. Like, I want to dance in the middle of this bar, and I'm the only one dancing, and she would make me do it. And I'm like, no, I'm embarrassed. I can't do that. And she would make me, and I would get mad at her, and then I would eventually end up doing it. And I think she brought out a more outgoing side of me. And I think that's where we butt heads a little bit. But it was not a bad thing either. Like you said, it was definitely good.
Yeah.
But
And what would you say, in your opinion, kind of what her best quality is then? Personality or socially, whatever it may be.
her best quality was just that she put everybody before herself. It was probably her best and her worst quality, which is not a bad. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but she never put herself first, and sometimes I hated that. But that was also her best
mentioned
quality.
it on the first time, kind of talking about her, the idea of Thanksgiving, of how many bites did you actually see her eat
Hardly
on
ever.
Thanksgiving?
Because she would serve people, and then she was the only one cleaning up, and if you tried to help her, she'd yell at you.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you how many times I got pushed out of the kitchen or yelled at trying to help her clean. Like, hello? Like, you don't need... There's 30 people in this house. You don't need to clean up
even
after
though she
30
hadn't
people.
even sat down for Thanksgiving dinner yet.
Yes.
She was still wanting to
Yep.
be 3 steps ahead instead of just enjoy that time. So, I always felt that she wanted everyone else to have this enjoyable time first, and by other people having joy, she actually had joy in this weird, like, masochistic kind of way. I don't know, just like
she was the mom. That was every time we went out. Gosh, all of our Vegas trips with my mom and Aaron and any friends that tagged along with us for those. It was half the time none of us remembered getting back to the room, but somehow Emerald got us there. She was the mom. Yeah, she always mommed us. That was pretty much, so she did that to everybody.
You're speaking of Vegas. It is something that I kind of wrote down that I wanted to touch on. I know what they say, happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. But is there anything that you can talk about Vegas-wise, obviously outside of the late nights and getting everybody home, that kind of sticks out? I know you guys did go to a few concerts out there.
We saw the Backstreet Boys a couple times, which was fun. We got our mom to go to a nightclub for her first time in Vegas because there was Backstreet Boys after party at the club, and the Backstreet Boys were there, so it was pretty cool.
Whoa.
Howie took a selfie on my phone. It was pretty sweet.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Now, who was her Backstreet Boy then? Or I guess you can say who everybody's was that kind of went on that.
So Aaron made us all shirts. So I had AJ on my shirt. My mom had Kevin. She was in love with Kevin. And Emerald had Howie. Aaron had Brian. And my friend Lauren had Nick. And we just kind of meshed the hair colors and stuff together. Oh, yeah, my mom has a picture of it right here. There's all of us with our Backstreet Boys shirts on.
And as you can see, I do have a Howie look to me.
You do.
So,
And there's our other Backstreet Boys concert. Because we went twice. So.
And I think this was during, obviously, their residency there. So you guys had a chance to go a couple of times. And, I mean, and I think that's really fun, just to be able to go out there for a quick concert type thing. And obviously having that memory of that time. But on the flip side of that, I mean, even for me, not that I was a huge Backstreet Boys fan myself, but knowing them and knowing their songs, I hear them, and then it makes me think of her, obviously.
We got you socks from one of those concerts.
Yeah, I got me some Backstreet Boys socks.
I probably wouldn't be with my husband if it wasn't for Vegas and Emerald, to be honest, because...
Okay,
there was one night...
explain further then.
There was one night we went to a club. It was for my sister Erin's 21st birthday, and we were out at a club. And Emerald and I lost Emerald on the strip. A couple hours later, we found each other. We were just like wandering up and down the strip, yelling for each other, trying to find each other, and found each other finally, thank goodness, carrying our shoes, both of us, and found each other. And then we were like, well, the sun's almost up and we have to leave today, so let's just not go to bed. And so we decided to go get changed and go walk and find coffee. So we walked to find coffee, and I was still hammered. It's like 6 a.m. and we had gone, it was Calvin Harris at the club, and somehow Emerald had talked our way into the VIP bottle service area for Calvin Harris. So he was like 3 feet in front of us the whole time. And I don't know how she did it. She had just always did it, but she talked our way in there. She probably paid our way in there, to be honest, knowing Emerald, but which is fine. It was fun for Aaron's birthday, and we had bottle service, so I was definitely not sober, and admitted that I had a crush on Andy. So then Emerald, being Emerald, takes off running and had called him to tell him. because he was awake and going to work.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so she's the Cupid in this.
Pretty much. I
relationship.
left for Vegas single and came back to a boyfriend. So that
right.
one. Now we're married and have a 2-year-old, and the rest is history. So
then obviously what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in
not
Vegas.
always. Yep.
It crossed state lines and
it did
not there. So, moving on from Vegas for now. I guess overall in general, what's something that you want kind of everyone to know about Emerald as a person, as a mom, as a anything that
she was.
Some people might not know, or they do know, and it's just a great way to, once again, kind of just put some more information out there about who she is.
Yeah, she was shining light in our family. She was, not biological. She was definitely that piece that was missing in her family, and we didn't know a piece was missing until she came into play, and she just fit right in, and from day one it was just part of the family, and she was the center of Michael's world, and just how giving and how kind and loving and just genuinely nice she was. It just is the question of why it had to happen to her is just always there for me, so
Mm-hmm.
They took whoever did this is still walking free, and that it makes me mad, and they took probably the best person I've ever known and ever will know away from us. So
and I do just for everyone out there to know this as well, Danica's been kind of the one that's spearheading speaking with the detectives at DPD for us. Just for myself, it's really tough to sit there and listen to them basically say they have no new information or they can't share that information. I think it would probably be a better way of saying it. So not having any more answers is a tough way to go. But I do have to just thank you so much for being just stepping up and doing that, because I know it same as me. It's probably not easy to hear.
Yeah, it's
the same lip service.
Yeah, it's
every
not
time.
easy. I get like anxiety before I call, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call him today, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call now, and then I just stare at my phone, and I'm like, okay, I'll call in an hour, it's fine. And then all of a sudden it's a week later, and I'm like, I didn't call him yet, so I need to do that, and I get anxiety because I'm like, I know he's gonna tell me there's no new updates, and I know they're working on it because he always tells me that, hey, we're gonna do this. He doesn't ever tell me what they're gonna do, but we have all these ideas, and we're gonna try this. Since he moved from active homicide to the cold case department, her case isn't cold. He just wanted to take it with him because he wanted to be the one to solve it, because he said it bothers him because they were two good people and there was literally no reason for it. So he wants to be the one to solve it. So I do believe that he does. I do believe he's genuine and that he's working really hard, but I also know the logical side of me knows he can't tell me. Mm-hmm. But the emotional side of me is like, can you just tell me what you have? Yeah. And I know that that's what it's going to say. And I'm like, I shouldn't be anxious because I know that's what's going to say. But I'm like, what if there is something when I call this time and I freak myself out? Mm-hmm. So I kind of took that on. When he reached out to me right after this happened to talk to me about her, he gave me his cell phone number, and I told him that was a mistake because I'm nothing if not persistent, and I would be calling a lot. And that's how I feel like I can help you and Michael, so I don't care if it's hard for me. I'll do it for the next 10 years if I have to. So,
well, we hope that doesn't get to that point. That's kind of obviously the whole point of getting this out there a little bit more also is that whole pyramid scheme.
Yes, I feel it in my gut that they know who did it. It's just a matter of finding the right evidence, and I feel it in my gut. I don't know if I'm right. I could be way off base here, but I feel it, So I can kind of pick up on, because I've had so many conversations with the detective, I guess you can kind of tell his tone of voice, whether or not he's feeling positive about the case or not when I do talk to him. And the last couple of times I've talked to him, he sounded very happy, which is good. Like, there was some leads we had last year and it seemed positive, like, oh my god, this might be the end, we might have an arrest, and then it didn't pan out. And the tone in his voice after that was a whole lot different than it is other times, so I feel like he's hopeful, and I do like him a lot. He's a really nice guy, and he always asks about you and Michael every time I call, and he always just wants to check in, like, how you two are doing. And how
And that's
Michael's
great,
school's going. Like, he never ends the conversation without asking about you and Michael first.
That's great.
So he's a very nice guy, and I do genuinely believe he wants to get it solved. So
Good.
yeah,
And that's like I said, that's mainly the whole idea behind this series is just to get that information out again.
Yeah.
It's part of it, but once again, it's to get this knowledge about who Emerald is more in depth as well. After everything had happened, you did get a tattoo in memoriam of her as well. I don't know if
I have.
you'd be able to.
I don't know if anybody can see. I'll stand up.
Kind of, sort of.
Maybe. Oh, I can take a picture and we can post it. I have. She wrote me a letter for my wedding day, and I forgot about the book of letters. Her and Aaron made the book of letters for me, and you and Michael wrote me one, and I have all of them, and I still have all of them, and I forgot all about it, and I was tearing through, and I was like, I know I have birthday cards from her. I know I do. I just want to I want her handwriting on me. I need to, I want something, and I was tearing through everything, and I could only find the ones that Michael had written for me with his huge blocky Michael, and I was like, that'd be cute too.
Michael,
though.
period.
Yeah.
Just put a period at the end of his name.
And what letter? E's were always backwards.
Yes.
And it was like half capital letters, half lowercase letters, and the E was always backwards, and I loved it so much, and I still have all those. And I was like, where are my cards from her? I know I have them. And then I looked on my TV stand, on the bottom shelf, I have a bunch of my wedding stuff and like pictures, and I was like, oh my god, the letter book I was like, I forgot all about this. How did I forget about this? And then found her letter, and it's still in my wallet. I carry it with me now. I'm like, the letter can stay with me, but it says, Danny Ray, I love you so very much. Thanks for being the P to my pod. Love, M. And I just took a couple little excerpts from the letter and got her handwriting tattooed on me, and it's always there. My son always asks me, what's this, Mama? What's this tattoo? So I read it to him, and he knows Auntie M. I'm convinced she comes to my house. I'm convinced she's haunting me, to be honest. But
yeah, and you've shared some of those with me. What are some examples of just kind of that? I know you've said.
So at the beginning, after this, I would smell her perfume all the time, and it would feel like I'd be working, and all of a sudden I'd be hit with like, it'd be cold, and I'd smell perfume, and I would just be like, hey sis, and it just would hang out, linger for a little bit, and then go away. And then there was a couple times I was driving and it was raining and I was hydroplaning and I had my baby in the car, and I'm like, oh my god, and all of a sudden it's just like I didn't do anything, but my car corrected. So I'm convinced she was there, and then those things for me started becoming less and less. But now my son will tell me, I'll be changing his diaper and he'll look up at the ceiling and he'll be like, her up there. And I'm like, who's up there? He says, Auntie M. And I'm like, will you tell her hi for me? And he says, hi, M, and waves. And we were brushing his teeth the other night, and he said, Mama, who's knocking? And his head snapped over to the door. And I said, no one knocked, buddy. I didn't hear anything. And then he goes, oh, hi, Auntie M, and waves. And he does it all the time. Like, he knows who she is, and he was 5 months old when she died. So it's cool.
Yeah, and obviously they didn't get a ton of time together, but I would say they had a very strong relationship, right? I mean, because she's a mom and she wanted to give you time. So,
oh my god, you couldn't change a diaper for your own baby if she was in the room. She'd take that baby and go running. I got it.
Oh yeah.
Push you away. You're like, all right, I'm not gonna fight you. And the last time she saw him, you and Michael were over here. We were here for Sunday night dinner, and she was working, and she wasn't supposed to be working. And she came late, and Andy and I were about to leave, and then she walked in, and I told Andy, I said, I know you're tired, but she just got here. Let's let her hang out with the baby for a little bit. And we stayed, and she said, I wish I would have taken a picture of it. She sat at the table and was holding him, and I can still picture it. And we stayed for another half hour, 45 minutes, let her play with Nolan before we left, and that was the last time she saw him.
Yeah.
And it was a week later that she died. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I
and
think
I
back
have
on
my,
that.
I have my inner M always comes out when I'm going around, so I had to get Nolan something since we were speaking about him. And
he loves little jammies too. He's gonna be so excited.
Yes, my inner M had to come out because I saw that and I was like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He just
my nephew let's
he just
get him
got
some new
Teenage Mutant
pajamas.
Ninja Turtle Band-Aids.
Oh, perfect.
So, and he loves them, and he will bump his arm, on purpose, and be like, I need a Band-Aid, mama. So we're in that Band-Aid phase. So he's already gone through almost the whole box of Ninja Turtle Band-Aids, so he's going to love those. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always like to get stuff for the kids, too, just because I let my style project onto the kids more than...
I know, I always tell my mom that. I said, Andrew buys all the best clothes for my child. I need to just send him with money every time Nolan needs new clothes, because...
Target for kids. They got the best. They got the best kids' clothes. I'm telling you.
If you need a personal stylist for your child, it's this man right here.
Okay.
Or Michael, because Michael picks out some cute stuff
some pretty good stuff.
Mike used to tell me when he was a kid, I would take him to Target with me when I'd be babysitting and be like, you can get a toy if you're good. And I'd be like, I need a couple new shirts. And I'd be like, how would this look? And he'd be like, you'd look ugly in that. I'm like, thanks, dude. But I guess it's fine because he picks out the good clothes for the kids now. So whatever was going through his head when he was a kid.
Must be true then. So, what is there anything specific that you want people to know about Emerald?
Just again that she was the best person I've ever known. I will never have a friendship, or I guess for lack of a better word, a relationship with anybody as significant or as meaningful. And that's not saying anything about my husband. Our relationship is so different than what Emerald and I had, but I will never have that. I was lucky enough to have found a friendship in her the way I did, but I'll never have that again. And it sucks, and half the days I'm still in denial. I'm like, oh, she's just working, that's why she's not texting, because she was terrible at texting. You would text her and then 4 days later hear back and you're like, I don't even know what I wanted 4 days ago, and so some days I'm still in denial about that, and then other days it like hits me like a brick wall. I'm like, oh yeah, she's never going to text me back, and whoever did this took away the best person I've ever known, and bottom line. So, and I mean, not only my heart breaks for like myself and my son and my husband and my sister and my brother and my parents, but my heart especially breaks for you and Michael, because it's not fair that your future was taken away from you. She was part of my family, but she was your future, and that sucks. And there's no other way to word it. And whoever did this, I just want them to pay. That's all. Yeah,
and that's something I've always kind of subscribed to, is just the taking away of a future.
It
not
sucks.
You took her away from everybody, but that future that we had, that we were planning, is no longer available in the same sense, at least, that we were expecting it to be. I could still do everything that we wanted to do together, but without her, it's just not the same. It's not being able to share those experiences together still. So moving into more of a, I don't know, we'll call it happier time, but talk about her fandom for the Raiders.
Oh my God. Woman.
I'm surprised that you even let her go to the games with you, wearing her Raiders stuff, sitting
my
next to you.
My mom gave her the ticket. It was not me. I used to always tell her if the Raiders won at the game that I was leaving her there, because I was always the DD for the Broncos games. And the last game we went to, it was Emerald, Aaron, Matt, Sahana, Matt's girlfriend, and I. And it was a Raiders-Broncos game, and it went into overtime. And I told her at the beginning of that game, if the Raiders win, I'm leaving your ass here. And the Raiders...
Did they end up winning?
They did, in overtime. They kicked a field goal and won. And I was like, I looked right at her, and I said, oh, you walking, girl. And I started walking away, and she's like, wait! And I was like, I'm not actually going to leave you. But we have Snapchat videos of Aaron and I, like, cheering on the Broncos, and Emerald with her Raiders so on, hiding her face and stuff from that game. And it was fun. Matt was really drunk, Aaron was really drunk, and Emerald and I were running on opposite sides of that stadium trying to find and wrangle them. And Sahana, luckily, when she just stays clung to you, so she doesn't run. But Aaron and Matt are runners. So, it was a really fun game.
In my opinion, she's a good fan.
She was a good fan.
She doesn't like to rub it in when her team wins.
She did to me. Maybe not to you. Yeah. Oh my God, her and I. Because that was like the basis of how our friendship started, was working at a sports bar. So all we did was smack talk each other. And I remember one time I took her to an Eagles game. She was wearing an Eagles jersey. I'm like, I thought you were a Raiders fan. Like, who are you? You got a Broncos jersey, an Eagles jersey, a Raiders jersey. What are you? I don't get you. And she's like, well, I like McNabb. And I'm like, oh my god. So I have a picture of me and her like with our fists up, like fighting each other before that Eagles game. And I used to send her Raiders memes. Every time the Raiders would lose, there'd be like a Derek Carr meme or something, and she would just like
Mr. Makeup.
Yeah, send me a middle finger emoji back or something. Never words. It was just always some type of eye roll or flipping me off. And I told Michael, now that he's a Raiders fan, I said, oh well, you got a cell phone now, and I'm gonna start sending you those memes I used to send your mom, dude. So
yeah.
Game on, buddy.
Yeah, he got quite the hookup on Raiders gear this year to get supplied between a Max Crosby jersey and pajamas and shirts that Aaron got him, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So, you know, he wants to be like his mom, and in every sense,
I'll buy him the Raiders stuff, but I will smack
the color green. It's anything that she like outside of pickles. He is not a pickles fan. But loves her pickles.
More for me, so I'll eat his pickles.
Exactly. Do you have anything specific that helps you remember Emerald at all, or stuff that kind of activates that in you? Obviously, you said the perfume, but that's kind of more just kind of happens. And obviously, if you were to go out and have that scent, then it would activate that more often. But is there anything else, any songs or food or pictures? I don't know. I go through Facebook every morning and look at the memories, and
there's always something with her, and I'm like, gosh, at the beginning after this happened, I was like, I need to delete social media because I can't now. I mean, it's been almost 2 years. It's still hard. It still sucks. I still cry all the time. You know, I'm still angry, like 24/7, you know, but now I like seeing those memories because I'm like, all right, you know, and it's like we always got matching onesies, footy pajamas for Christmas from my mom. So, you know, I still have all those. So I like seeing those, and, you know, just things like that. And I have a dress hanging in my closet that I wore one time and I'll probably never wear again, but I'll never get rid of it because I had the pink one and she had the blue one. Yeah. And, you know, so it's like just things like that. And, I'll hear random songs. I couldn't even tell you songs off the top of my head right now, what songs, but there's just like random songs, and I'm like, oh, her and I sang that in the car one time, and or oh, we made Michael like "You Can't Stop This Feeling" by Justin Timberlake from Trolls. Yeah. You know, every time I hear that, I'm like, that's all I think of is when we used to dance in the basement with Michael with that when he was a kid, and you know, just certain things like that. But there's like times when my son will do something funny, and I'm like, Emerald will think that's hilarious, you know, or he tells me the other day, I don't want to talk about it, Mom, and pushed my face away. And I was like, she would have loved that. Yeah. Like, she probably would have taught him that. Because all those things when Michael would get sassy was always like, Danica Ray, did you teach him that?
And the answer was usually yes.
Sorry. You know, like, my bad. And I'm like, every time Nolan does this thing, I'm like, it probably would have been taught by Auntie M. Yeah. You know, she would have thought that was hilarious. So it's like things like that he does. And
do you her and her cursing? Yeah, it would make me laugh because she just didn't do it a lot. So when she did, it was tiny. Very.
She was so tiny and so sweet looking that you're just like, it's so unnatural coming out of your mouth, but it's so funny.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I just thinking of it now, the video where her and Aaron have the penises on their head playing ring toss from a bachelorette party, and then Michael comes around the corner.
Oh no, that's me and her.
Was that you and her? Yeah,
but I have one of her and Aaron at my bachelorette party playing it. But the one of me and her, she keeps like covering her eyes, and you're like, why are you closing your eyes? And she's like, I don't know, I'm scared.
No. And then probably unsafe for
the first part of that video is my favorite because we thought you were taking a picture and we're like posing like with penises on our heads, and you're like, click click click, it's on video, and we're like, oh no. You know, that's one of my favorites. That's funny. I'm so glad you still had that.
Oh yeah, it pops up every once in a while there, and I always send it to you guys. So I guess to finish off, just is there anything that you want the public to know about Emerald, or anything that can be said that can hopefully try to get someone to turn this information in. Obviously, that's the main reason of this, is trying to get this justice, and that's a major part of it, is getting these tips that will really nail it down that this is
I mean,
who did it.
To start, the reward's still over $32,000. That hasn't gone anywhere. Like, that's a crazy amount of money. That's a down payment on a house here in Colorado. Like, and then thinking about it, there's no way that nobody knows who did this. There's no way. Secrets, especially something this big, don't stay secrets, you know? So someone has to know. Someone, you know, if you do know, you can be anonymous. You don't have to, like, if it's your friend you're protecting, your family member you're protecting, they don't have to know you did it. They'll never know you did it, you know? So just call. They took away a mother, a sister, a daughter, a wife. They took away somebody who just genuinely did not deserve something like this to happen to them. And it's, I mean, murder is never right. Murder is never something that should happen, but it just really shouldn't have happened in this case. Emerald did not deserve it. Nacho did not deserve it. Everything I've heard, I talk to his son-in-law all the time, everything I've heard about him is he was just a genuinely nice person. He made me food for my baby shower and I'd never met him and sent it home with her. Like, he was just a nice person, you know, and he just said, oh, you're going to your sister's baby shower, take this, and had made it, and she didn't ask him, you know. So they were just two good people, and
that's awesome. And I mean, that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do here, is get these types of not stories, but really just experiences that we have all experienced with Emerald specifically. And once again, the reward is over $32,000. There will be a link in the bottom as well that shoots you straight to the Crime Stoppers website, where you can actually share from there as well.
I've gone through and like looked to see what it would be like to submit a tip, and everything is 100% anonymous on there.
Yeah, they give you once you submit it, they give you a number if that tip does lead to something, and then you go to the bank and give them a PIN number, and basically that's how you get paid out. So it's a very simple thing that can really help a lot of people as well.
And we fundraised a lot of that money for that reward money, and I know they said like, oh, if it never leads anywhere, you guys will just get that money back. I don't want it. I don't think you want it.
No,
I don't want it.
No.
I don't want it. I want it to go. I want somebody who knows something to get that money, and I don't have to know who knows something. I don't care. I just, whoever knows. I don't care. I don't care why it happened. I don't care who tells on who. I just want whoever did it to go to jail and
absolutely
to face it. I don't, other than that.
Yeah. And to everyone out there that watched last week, I really do appreciate that. Continue to share and just getting this message out there again. That's all we want to do. That's the whole point of this, and I hope that you guys will tune in next week as well. Not sure who's going to be on. We'll figure it out, but just get somebody else that wants to talk about the wonderful person that is my wife, and we will see y'all then. Later.
Bye.